"Security, remove my daughter!" Dad yelled at his birthday event. The security guard approached, then stopped. "Ma'am, you're the building owner. Should I escort them out instead?" The room went silent when Dad realized his venue belonged to me. My name's Camille Navarro. I'm 29 years old, and I'm standing in a room built to celebrate a man I no longer recognize. The Metropolitan Tower's Crystal Ballroom is a universe of its own. All champagne, glittering chandeliers, and the practiced laughter of the city's elite. The air hums with the sound of a string quartet and smells of expensive perfume and floral arrangements so large they look like sculptures. This is my father's 60th birthday party, and I am the ghost at the feast. I'm dressed in a simple dark blue dress, a deliberate shadow against the shimmering gold and silver backdrop of his success. My goal tonight is simple: to be a witness. To see it all one last time before I burn it to the ground, piece by glorious piece. My obstacle is the man on the stage, Harlan Navarro, my dad, holding a microphone like it's a scepter. His voice, smooth and confident, fills every corner of the vast room. His eyes scan the crowd of donors and politicians he calls friends, people who owe him favors, people who fear his influence. I know every face, every calculated smile. In my small purse, my fingers trace the worn leather of a small notebook, the one where I sketched out the code for a privacy app in a cramped, one-bedroom apartment he once called a hobby. He thought it was a cute little project for a girl who couldn't find her way. He had no idea what it would become. His gaze sweeps the room, a king surveying his court, and finally, it lands on me. The practiced warmth in his expression freezes over. His smile tightens at the edges. The confrontation I came for, the one he thinks he's going to win, is about to begin. "And I want to thank my family," Dad says, his voice amplified throughout the silent hall. The orchestra has quieted, and every eye is on him. My wonderful wife, Marina. He gestures to Marina, my stepmother, who sits at the head table, glowing in a dress that probably cost more than my first car. "My son, Dylan," he continues, nodding to Dylan, my half-brother, who offers a shy, awkward wave. "He is making us all so proud at the foundation." The applause is polite, but warm. He pauses, letting the moment hang in the air, and his eyes lock on mine again. "And my daughter, Camille, is here tonight as well." The tone shifts instantly. It's the one he uses for charity cases, for lost souls he's magnanimously trying to save. It's dripping with a kind of public pity that's more cutting than any insult. "She's finding her way," he continues, a masterpiece of public condescension delivered with a sorrowful smile. "We all hope she finds a direction soon. It's never too late to contribute something meaningful." A wave of sympathetic glances washes over me. I can feel their pity like a physical weight. Vivian Cross, his biggest donor, a woman whose foundation he chairs, gives me a sad little smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Daniel Brooks, the city official whose campaigns Dad has bankrolled for years, subtly looks away, studying a crystal glass as if it holds the secrets of the universe. My first plan, to simply observe, to let him have his night before the axe fell, is incinerated. He hasn't just acknowledged me, he's made me his cautionary tale. He's using me as a prop to magnify his own benevolent, long-suffering image. The concerned father of a lost, ungrateful child. I hold his gaze. I don't flinch, I don't look away. My stillness is my only weapon, but it's not enough. He's not finished with me yet. My refusal to look ashamed, to bow my head and accept my role in his little play, seems to infuriate him. The mask of the charming philanthropist slips just enough for me to see the cold anger underneath. "Actually," he says, his voice sharp now, the feigned sympathy gone, This isn't the place for family disagreements. He gestures to the back of the room, a flick of his wrists that is both a command and a dismissal. Marcus, could you please escort my daughter out? I think she needs some air. The crowd goes silent. The gentle murmur of conversation dies completely. This isn't pity anymore. It's a public execution. I glance at my family. My stepmother, Marina, looks horrified, her hand fluttering to her throat, but she says nothing. She never says anything. My half-brother Dylan just stares at his expensive shoes, a perfect portrait of spineless compliance. Marcus Doyle, the head of security, a man with a stolid professional face I've seen in this building a dozen times, begins to walk toward me. His steps are measured, his expression unreadable. This is the moment, the first domino. I don't move, I don't protest or raise my voice. I simply wait, my heart hammering against my ribs, a steady, rhythmic beat of anticipation. I've rehearsed this exact moment in my head 1,000 times, playing out every possible variation. My quiet stillness forces a new choice on him. He can't just wait for me to back down. He must escalate, and in doing so, he walks directly into the trap I so carefully laid for him. This is no longer about my feelings or his public image. It is about a plan, 13 months in the making, that is about to be activated, and he just lit the fuse himself. 2 years ago, I wasn't in a glittering ballroom. I was in the quiet, carpeted hallway outside my dad's home office, my hand raised to knock on the heavy oak door. I was waiting to tell him my good news. I was 27, and after years of coding until my eyes burned, of living on instant noodles and pure adrenaline, I was about to close a $1.2 million seed round for my app. I had the final meeting with the lead investor the next day. I thought he'd be proud. I thought for once he might see me as something other than a disappointment. Then I heard his voice through the door, low and confidential, the tone he uses when he's pulling strings. He was speaking to that same investor. She's brilliant, I'll give you that, but she's unstable. My dad said, his words like shards of glass in the silence. She gets these grand ideas, but she doesn't have the temperament to lead. She's fragile. I'm telling you this as her father, because I'm worried she's headed for a breakdown. My blood ran cold. He wasn't protecting me. He was poisoning the well. He couldn't stand the thought of me succeeding without his help, without his name, on my own terms. My success would have been my own, and that was something he could not tolerate. The next morning, the investor's assistant called to cancel our meeting. The polite corporate email followed an hour later. The round was dead. He had killed it with a single, paternal, concerned phone call. I never confronted him. Arguing with my father is like fighting the tide. You just get tired and drown. He'd deny it. Or worse, he'd twist it into an act of fatherly love, claiming he'd saved me from a failure I wasn't strong enough to handle. So I said nothing. That night, sitting in the dark of my tiny apartment, surrounded by whiteboards covered in code, I made a vow. I would never again seek his approval. I would never again allow him to have that kind of power over me. I pivoted. I found a different buyer, an overseas tech firm that didn't know my father, that didn't move in his circles. They saw the value in my work, not my bloodline. They bought my app for $62 million. And I told no one. I kept my old car, my small apartment, and my directionless life. I let him believe he had won, that I was exactly the failure he wanted me to be. His condescension became my shield. His pity became my camouflage. And in that quiet darkness, I decided my revenge would not be loud or emotional. It would be silent, structural, and absolute. The first thing I did with the money was hire a team of 2 people I could trust implicitly. I found Maya Patel, the sharpest attorney I could find, a woman who could navigate the complexities of corporate law in her sleep. Then I hired Leo Grant, a property portfolio manager who saw the city not as a collection of streets and people, but as a chessboard waiting for the right moves. Together, we built a fortress of anonymous shell companies, a complex web designed to make my fortune completely invisible. My name was attached to nothing. It was Leo who found the Metropolitan Tower. The owners were in deep financial trouble, and the bank held a massive loan that was about to go bad. He presented the numbers, the projections, the risks, but I already knew. It was Dad's favorite landmark, the shining symbol of his world, the place he held his most important fundraisers. It was the heart of his empire. I authorized the purchase of the debt for $201.5 million. When the owners officially missed their final deadline, the deed became mine. Signing those papers felt like laying the cornerstone of a new reality. His world was now, quite literally, being built on my foundation. Living the lie was the hardest part. Every morning, I drove my 10-year-old car to the subway station, where I'd take the train downtown to a high-rise office building no one knew I owned. I'd spend my days with Maya and Leo, acquiring 11 buildings across the city, building a portfolio worth over $500 million. Then, in the evenings, I'd go back to my small apartment and play the part of the struggling daughter. At family dinners, I'd endure lectures from Dad about fiscal responsibility and the importance of a steady career, all while he bragged about Dylan's latest promotion at the foundation, a promotion I knew he had engineered. Marina, my stepmother, would offer me leftovers with a sad, gentle smile, patting my hand and telling me things would turn around eventually. I nodded, I played the part, and I documented every condescending remark, every pitying glance. Each one was a brick in the wall I was building around his world. I wasn't just getting rich, I was getting even, one quiet, patient day at a time. Owning the tower was the stage, but I needed the right props to make the play truly unforgettable. Leo found them buried in a pile of overlooked, forgotten debt. First, he discovered the loan on the 2 floors his foundation leased in a different downtown building. He was 3 months behind on payments, a fact hidden from his donors. I bought the outstanding note for $18,400,000. Just like that, I was his foundation's landlord. Then Leo found the real prize. It was a $6.8 million personal promise my dad had signed to guarantee a business loan for a friend. The friend's venture had failed spectacularly, the loan defaulted, and the bad debt was sold off for pennies on the dollar to collectors. I bought it. It was his signature on a piece of paper, a promise he'd made based on his name and reputation alone, the very reputation he used to crush my dreams. And now, that promise was owed to me. His word, his bond, was my weapon. 13 months of planning, of silent acquisitions, and careful deception all came down to this party. A week ago, I met with Sonia Park, the tower's meticulous and professional building manager. I introduced myself as the new owner and laid out the entire plan. She's dealt with Dad's entitlement for years, with his last-minute demands and his slow payment of bills. Her smile was thin, but her agreement was immediate and absolute. I gave her a list. Gabriel Stone, the orchestra contractor whose invoices Dad always seemed to lose. The caterers. The floral arrangers. I pre-approved payment in full for all of them, including overtime, effective on my signal. I then briefed Marcus Doyle, the head of security. He was to follow my father's orders to the letter, right up until the very last second. His professionalism was key. Then, I made the final move. I called my dad and told him I'd like to come to his party. He sounded surprised, then genuinely pleased. He thought I was finally ready to capitulate, to come back into the fold and accept his help. He had no idea I was coming to collect. As Dad stands on that stage, basking in the applause of his adoring crowd, a cold wave of doubt washes over me. It's a feeling so powerful it almost makes my knees buckle. For one terrifying second, I see what they all see. Harlan Navarro, the titan of philanthropy, the charming and generous city icon, and me, his failed, bitter daughter skulking in the corner. His words about me being a disappointment echo in my head, but this time, they don't sound like a lie to be disproven. They sound like a truth I've been running from my whole life. Maybe I am just that. Maybe all this, the money, the buildings, the intricate plan, is just an elaborate way to hide the fact that I'm still that same little girl, desperate for her father's approval. In this glittering room, surrounded by hundreds of people, I have never felt more alone. My money is invisible. My power is a secret. In this moment, I am just a girl watching her father command the world, a world that has no place for me. Did I orchestrate all this just to feel this small again? The thought is paralyzing. Then my hand closes around the worn leather of my notebook and my purse. The memory of the work, the endless late nights, the quiet, focused anger that fueled me. That was real. This performance, this glittering party, is the illusion. I am not here for their approval. I am here for my own. Marcus, get her out of here, my dad repeats, his voice tight with irritation, the charm completely gone. He's not used to being disobeyed. Marcus Doyle walks toward me, his face a professional mask. The room is dead silent. You could hear a pin drop on the thick carpet. He stops a few feet away from me, lifts the radio clip to his shoulder, and speaks in a calm, procedural tone that cuts through the tension. "Dispatch, can you confirm ownership registry for the Metropolitan Tower?" A few seconds of static-filled silence pass. He holds up his tablet, taps the screen, and waits. A moment later, he looks up from the screen, his eyes meeting mine. His professional expression shifts, replaced by one of dawning deference. "My apologies, Ms. Navarro," he says, his voice now carrying through the utterly silent room. "I didn't realize." He turns back to the stage, to my father, who is staring at him in disbelief. "Sir, I can't remove her. She is listed as the building's sole proprietor. This is her property." The blood drains from my father's face. Confusion wars with a dawning, stomach-turning horror. The whispers start, spreading through the crowd like fire catching on dry grass. I walk forward, my steps even and unhurried. I don't go to the stage. I stop in the center of the floor, right in the middle of his party. "Sonia," I say, my voice steady and clear, carrying easily in the silent room. "Sonia Park, please join me." Sonia emerges from the side, holding a clipboard, her expression perfectly neutral. "Sonia," I say, addressing her but speaking to the entire room, "would you please remind our guests of the building's zero-tolerance policy regarding harassment?" She does, reading the clause in a firm, unwavering voice that seems to be aimed directly at the stage. "And could you confirm that all outstanding vendor invoices for tonight's event have been settled, including overtime for the staff?" I see Gabriel Stone, the orchestra leader, look up, his bow frozen over his cello, his expression one of pure, unadulterated shock. Sonia confirms it. "Yes, Ms. Navarro. All accounts were settled an hour ago." I finally look at my father. His mouth is slightly open, his face a pale, slack mask of incomprehension. "The rules apply to everyone in this building, Dad. No exceptions." I let that sink in. Your foundation's lease is terminated, effective immediately, for multiple policy violations and non-payment. We'll discuss the matter of your personal debts in the morning. On the rooftop, sunrise. I turn and walk toward the exit. I don't look back. I can feel the eyes of every single person in that room on me, not with pity now, but with shock and a dawning, fearful respect. The power has shifted. The sun is just beginning to cast a pale, watery glow over the city skyline. I'm waiting for him on the rooftop, the cold morning air crisp against my face, whipping strands of my hair around. He arrives alone, looking not like a titan, but like a man who hasn't slept, his expensive suit rumpled and his shoulders slumped. The fight is gone from his eyes, replaced by a hollow, exhausted confusion. There's no triumph in this moment, just a quiet, heavy finality. For a brief second, I see the father I once wanted to please, and the man he chose to become instead. The cost of this victory is the last shred of that childhood hope that he might one day see me for who I am. I hand him 2 envelopes. One is a formal eviction notice for his foundation. The other is the demand for payment on his $6.8 million personal promise. I give him the terms, my voice even and low. A full public apology to me and to the people he's harmed, or public messy financial ruin that will tear down the reputation he spent a lifetime building. The story closes not here on this cold roof, but with the memory of his voice hours later, shaking at a press conference microphone, reading the words I wrote for him. He was wrong. And in the tower he once used to measure his worth, my name is on the deed. Sometimes you have to burn it all down to build something new. Have you ever had to reclaim your power in a big way? Share your story in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next one.